Good evening. Welcome to the regular twice monthly meeting of Westminster's Mayor and Common Council. Please note that our meetings, although open to the public here at City Hall, will continue to be available and streamed live on the City quickly, as well as the Community Media Center channel and website. And now we'll begin, as we do every meeting, with the pledge to the flag, followed by a moment of silence.
We're ready for
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As a courtesy to everyone, please take a moment to silence your cell phones or any other electronic devices you might have with you that might disrupt the meeting. Thank you. Copies of tonight's agenda and the entire information packet that the council will be using are available online on the city's website. And I believe the copies of the agenda, for those who are here in the room, are available up here in the front. Before we begin, just like to mention we have a guest with us tonight. Really pleased to have Commissioner Dennis Frazier with us this evening. Commissioner Frazier is a frequent visitor to our meetings and has been throughout his time as county commissioner. And I think that, I think we all really appreciate, the attention that you've paid to the city's interests and needs over the time you've been commissioner, and, the value of having you here, frequently to hear the concerns that we have and things that are going on in the city is really very valuable to us. Would you like to say anything while you're here?
I appreciate that very much. I do believe that the cooperation between the city and county is imperative if we want to work together and get things accomplished, because I mean, you're basically right in the middle of the county. So we have to kind of work together. And I like coming to these meetings to see firsthand what is going on with the city, because I do read it in the paper, but seeing firsthand is much better. So I appreciate being here. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you. We don't get to read much in the paper, so they don't cover us.
I know.
So we're glad you come here in person to find out. Commissioner, it's always great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
First, we'll consider the approval of minutes from the, actually, before we do that, I need to read the statement for the record about our closed meeting of Monday, May 23rd, in accordance with the general provisions article, section 3-306C2 of the annotated code of Maryland. And without objection, it's noted that the minutes of tonight's meeting reflect that the Common Council met in a closed meeting on Monday, May 23rd, 2022 at 8:22 p.m. pursuant to general provision article section 3-305B10 to discuss public security. As the public body determined that the public discussion would constitute a risk to the public or public security, including the deployment of fire and police services and staff, and the development and implementation of emergency plans. And it was approved unanimously. Following staff members were in attendance: City Administrator Imholz and City Attorney Levan. Common Council took no action during the session, and the closed meeting adjourned at 9 p.m. Now let's move on to the approval of the minutes. We have minutes from the council meeting of May 23rd and the closed meeting of the same night. And I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
second.
Been a motion by Mr. Dayhoff and a second by Ms. Gilbert. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. Thank you. We have a presentation from the mayor, Dr. Pecker.
Hey, thank you, Mr. President. July marks Park and Recreation Month. And I know our Recreation and Parks Department has an activity planned every single day for the month of July. And if you are on social media or accessing the calendar, you can see them sort of pop up repeatedly over the last couple of weeks as they've loaded their program in for children and families and everyone within the community. So I have a proclamation I'd like to read. Since Mrs. Gruber isn't here, I'm just going to stay right here in my seat and we'll hand it off after the meeting. Park and Recreation Month, July 2022. Whereas park and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the city of Westminster, and our parks and recreation programs are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And parks and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And parks and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. And our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas the City of Westminster, Maryland recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, Mayor of the City of Westminster, in conjunction with the Common Council, do hereby proclaim July as Park and Recreation Month in the City of Westminster, Maryland, adopted this 27th day of June, 2022. Spend some time outside in July. There'll be lots of activities to do.
Thank you, Dr. Becker. And it's,
You're welcome.
certainly, a good message for everybody. And it is an important month because so many people in the city, their real experience with the city is through our recreational events and our city parks. And it's almost always a positive experience, I hope, and I think.
I can speak for Kings Park, as I know Councilmember Gilbert can, that it is utilized a lot. Every single day, all day, pickleball, tennis, basketball, kids on the playground.
Absolutely.
Picnics,
All
and
day.
I'm sure
Mr. President, are they going to have snowballs again this year?
every Thursday
Oh, all right,
at Locust Lane,
we're good. All
every
right.
Thursday, snowballs.
Moving it to Locust Lane this year.
What?
Moving it to Locust Lane this year.
It was,
Last year was over at the.
it was over at the
Oh.
playground last year.
I'm not
Just
sure
the
then,
opposite.
maybe snowballs on Thursday, don't.
Well, maybe Ms. Imholz can make sure that Ms. Gruber lets us know because.
Can you prioritize that, please?
We wouldn't want Mr. Dayhoff to miss a snowball.
No.
You can print out the calendar off of the website and it
That's
tells you
perfect.
exactly
Okay.
where it is.
Mr. Dayhoff. might be able to do that.
Oh, okay.
They are at Locust Lane.
I'll take
Oh, they
care.
are?
They're at Locust Lane. I'll be
All
darned.
right, there you go.
Back on Main Street,
All right, there you go. Got it. All right,
we have our priorities
thank you.
straight.
We do. Consent calendar, we have several items on the consent calendar this evening. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been a motion by Mr. Dayhoff and a second by Ms. Gilbert. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it. Consent calendar is approved. Report from the mayor, Dr. Becker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, it's been an awful quiet 6 weeks for me. I have not been doing tons in the city since my knee replacement just about 6 weeks ago. I was able to attend the Juneteenth celebration for a brief period of time. And I'd like to let everyone know that the attendance was well attended. I read a proclamation from the City of Westminster and presented it to Mrs. Diane Hurd at the beginning. And that was followed by some music. There were vendors set up along Main Street on that side. That was also the same day as the beer and barbecue, which I was not allowed to walk to. It was limited to a half a mile distance from the house that day. But I wanted to just point out that, what?
I want to pick John.
It was busy, but it's been it's been pretty quiet for me the last couple of weeks, which has been good, but I'm getting back to 100%. I'd just like to echo what our council president said at the beginning and take a minute to thank Commissioner Frazier for his dedication to the city. When I first was appointed to the council, I took Commissioner Frazier's seat when he was elected to become a commissioner. Sort of followed in his footsteps there a little bit at the beginning. And so I've been able to work with Commissioner Frazier as a council member for 4 years, as a mayor for a year. And you are absolutely correct that the relationship between the commissioners and the City of Westminster is incredibly important for business to be done. within our region. So just again, I'd like to thank you for your support of the city over the last 8 years, and you will be missed as a commissioner.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. That's all, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Move on now to reports from standing committees, begin as we always do with our liaison to the Arts Council, Mr. Dayhoff.
Thank you, Mr. President. And the mayor from all reports did a great job with the proclamation and with Juneteenth, and I really appreciate that. I was on the committee. And by all reports, Juneteenth, the first celebration went really well. And it was also, it was sponsored by the NAACP and the Arts Council, but the city of Westminster on background was helpful every step of the way. And we really super appreciate that. I want to call to the council's attention and to the folks that are watching the meeting this evening that tomorrow is a great intellectual experience at Carroll Community College, in which my wife and I are sponsoring a family movie, Clifford the Big Red Dog. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at that event, and there will be a quiz.
At the next council meeting?
At the next council meeting, there will. My kids loved Clifford the Big Red Dog. So when the executive director came to me and asked if we would sponsor it, of course, we were more than happy to. The executive director, Lynn Griffith, is just doing a wonderful job over at the Carroll Arts Center. And she has worked hard. Of course, maybe a lot of folks aren't aware, she is she's played in orchestras all over the world. She plays the French horn. We're very, very fortunate to have her in Carroll County. And she's worked hard to bring the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra to Carroll County. They're going to come on Saturday, July the 23rd. A Winwood Quintet is going to play Peter and the Wolf at the Carroll Arts Center at 11 o'clock. And then the full orchestra will be at the Carroll Community College's Rotary Amphitheater at 7 o'clock. And the show is billed as Music for Maryland. And we're really, really looking forward to that. That's my report, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. Mr. Hoff is not here for the Economic and Community Development Committee, so we will defer that until he's present again. Finance Committee, on behalf of the Finance Committee, I have nothing to say, which I think is a great relief to Ms. Impulse since we finished the budget and we are not taxing her anymore at the moment, with any tasks. We'll give her a couple of weeks off at least before we take up anything else. Personnel Committee, Ms. Gilbert.
The personnel community will be gearing up with some work over the summer, but I wanted to make people who are watching aware, and possibly those in the audience, aware of the numerous positions we have available. And I will repeat the word numerous positions we have available. We have a comprehensive planner 1, a comprehensive planner 2, also known as Main Street Manager, or that be part of their duties. Director of Finance, Property Inspector, entry level and lateral police officer positions, a communication specialist, family fitness center attendant, recreation program coordinator, summer camp, and recreation program. Why do I have recreation program coordinator twice? Well, maybe that's because I really am stressing that job. I don't know why. And if that doesn't interest you, we have wastewater on 3rd shift, plant operator 1 and 2, mechanic. And if that still doesn't interest you, we have a equipment operator in our streets department. So please check out our website for full description and applications.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gilbert, and I appreciate you bringing those up because I'm very much afraid that if we don't fill some of these jobs, Ms. Imholtz is going to go start doing them herself. She does all the other-
I think she already does them herself. I think she already does them
She
herself.
might make me start doing them, that's true.
I don't know, it might be-
Which would be very bad for the safety of citizens of Westminster. Speaking of safety, Mr. Kavachi.
What a segue, Mr.
He is right on it
That's
today.
what happens when you take a month off. from
Yeah.
leave, Right?
So it's a little bit of a lengthy one, so we'll get through it as quickly as possible, but it's important stuff. Police department had in-service training for some of its staff over at the Public Safety Center, and it was a grant-funded program related to opioid overdose prevention. So they completed that. That's important stuff. And kudos to the chief. It's almost every meeting I report on something that they're doing related to opioid opioid use or overdose prevention. So great work there. We had two different groups of professional shoplifters that were operating in the area, not just here in Westminster, but throughout the Baltimore region. One group was hitting Altas, another one was hitting DSW, and our officers were able to make apprehensions in both cases. So they probably not only helped out our own stores here in community, but they probably helped a number of other stores and communities as well. And that seems to be a little bit of a theme. I seem to recall there was a bank robbery group going around robbing banks all over the place, and we caught them when other folks couldn't. And I know that there's been at least one or two other of these shoplifting groups that we've nailed as well. So great work, Chief. And I'm sure I speak for everyone saying, that we're very appreciative of that. There was a promotion from sergeant to lieutenant by Tim Reif. He scored number one in the interview process, and he did some additional training that really, put him above and beyond so that he was able to be promoted to lieutenant. So that's wonderful to see. There was a incident over on Jenny Drive where a firearm was discharged, and our department immediately got involved, did a lot of investigation. They made several arrests and recovered 2 firearms related to that incident. So outstanding work. It's just another testament to the great work that they do within the Westminster Police Department. Held a couple of community meetings with some folks just to get some good input on community policing. Had a nice end of year event at the end of the school year, involved kickball, disc jockey, cookout, all those types of things. So that's great community building and bonding things that are important. We had a promotion to PFC by Lucas Eli. Is that right? Pronouncing that right? And then the last thing I wanted to touch base on was that, we also made a number of significant drug-related arrests. I don't want to skip over that. That's a really important one. And that's been pretty consistent here relatively recently. We've made quite a few arrests related to drug dealing in the community, and they're working very hard to keep that up. I've gotten a little feedback from a few citizens recently that it's very obvious to them that they're out there working very hard, and it seems like there's just less shenanigans going on in the community than what maybe people have seen previously. And I think that's directly related to those efforts. And then the last thing, and this is a nice one. And again, we've had a couple of these also that have popped up that I've been able to, come here and read to you guys. And it's just one more. So there was an incident or an individual, I'm sorry, that, and I apologize, my Adobe is not launching this letter. There it is. Thank you. There was a homeless individual that clearly appeared to be in a crisis situation, and Sergeant Donovan from the Westminster Police Department got involved and helped this individual over the course of a number of days, and worked with him, and ultimately through his efforts was able to get him into a facility to be able to get some treatment and help. And a number of departments, the Carroll County the Carroll County Hospital, Carroll County Health Department, as well as I think the fire department, maybe all commented to the chief and to the Westminster Police Department what a wonderful job Sergeant Donovan did getting this individual the help that he needed. And that's the type of thing that I think we see a fair amount from our police officers they're not just out there busting heads and using their bracelets all the time. They're actually caring for our community and doing things that help people, not just crime related stuff. So kudos to Sergeant Donovan. Please pass our gratitude on to him. I'm sure again I speak for everybody up here that we're grateful for that kind of community policing, Chief. So it's a pretty solid report. And I know there's some other things probably that you're going to touch on that I did not. So that's all I have, Mr. President. I'll make it up with the short public safety.
All right, well, then why don't you go ahead and do that, Mr. Kavachi?
So it's going to be very brief. We finished the permanent Bond Street water, right, not sewer, water repair. That's it. How about that?
The shortness of your report has nothing to do with Mr. Glass's impending retirement, does it?
Not that I'm aware
All right,
of.
so that's Recreational Parks Committee, Mr. Dayhoff.
Lots of activities in the month of July. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, and we are well aware of that. That's great. Technology Committee, we are in the process of scheduling a meeting now that the mayor is up and around again, and look forward to having some important discussions there soon. Move on now to council comments and discussion. This is the opportunity for council members to bring up any other topics or make any comments they want to on others issues that were not in their committee reports or are not elsewhere on the agenda. Mr. Kavachi.
So, Mr. President, I'm going to echo you and the mayor, but I'm even going to go a little step further. I'm grateful. I had the opportunity to serve with Commissioner Frazier his entire tenure here on the city council, and it's excellent to work with on the city council. I've also had the pleasure of working with him for the entire tenure of his time as a commissioner, and he's been excellent to work with there too. There have been numerous things that have come up over the years that we've gone to him for help with, and he's always been there to help us, or, which I really appreciate about him, is he's also told me, yeah, that's just not going to happen. And it's the way it is. And he's a straight shooter. That's the thing I think I like the most about Dennis is you know what you got. He doesn't play games. He tells you like it is. And the going further part, right, wrong, or indifferent, he's running for delegate. And I think we, the city, would benefit greatly by him being a state delegate for our area, because I truly believe he would represent us in a very positive way. And I think he would work hard to make sure that the city of Westminster is as represented as well as possible in Annapolis. So I'm hopeful that you'll be successful in your bid to be a delegate. So I have, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kavachi. Mr. Dayhoff.
I just wanted to echo Mr. Kavachi's remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gilbert.
I have a couple things. I wanted to, since it's been almost 4 weeks, I believe, since we have met, I wanted to extend a thank you to the American Legion for their work on the Memorial Day Parade. It was great to be back. Not that I was watching the parade, but having folks observe the parade. It was a beautiful day. The two ceremonies I attended afterwards were all done well, honoring all those who had died in battle. I wanted to thank Mr. Glass for yet another updated wastewater tour earlier this month. It allowed me to kind of catch up on the progress of the wastewater plant, the upgrades, checking in on water reuse initiative and how that's going, and happened to snap a couple of nice pictures since we are kind of low on those Dr. Glass pictures. So I was able to squeeze a few of those into the phone and wish him well on his now kind of close impending retirement. I, along with Councilman Pecoraro, Ms. Imholz, and Mr. Depot, attended the MML convention. As always, it was a great point for networking, and also the classes that were offered through the academy. So I enjoyed that this summer. And I also want to echo everyone else's thoughts regarding Mr. Frazier, but I'll take it another step further along with Councilman Kavachi and remind everyone that July 19th is our primary election voting day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Afterwards, there are, after that July 19th date, there's a couple of forums that will be occurring on July 28th and July 30th. So please check out those so you can educate yourselves on your candidates and vote accordingly. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. It has been a while since we met, so I'll just say, I also wanted to thank city staff and lots of other folks for the great events that we've had a chance to participate in since the last meeting, including the Memorial Day Parade, which I was pleased to be able to represent the city at the ceremony after the event, as I did at the Corbett's Charge event the other day. I want to note that during the time when I represented the city, did not receive any additional salary since the mayor wasn't there. Nor did I receive miles as I walked to all these events, but I was glad to be able to do it. Got to go to,
Switch places.
I wouldn't have your job on a bet. Thank you. Did get to go to MML as well, as Ms. Gilbert said, and I wanted to also mention that couple things, that in addition to all the great sessions, first of all, our city attorney, Ms. Levan, was also there. She was once again reelected to represent all the other municipal attorneys around the state, on the executive committee of board of directors, which I think is, a distinct honor for the city that, her peers respect her enough to want her to continue to represent all of them. So it's great to have her as our attorney since they pay attention to her. Also, just note that some other Carroll Countyans were elected to the MML Board of Directors, and we're pleased to have so many Carroll Countyans serving there to represent, us if we ever need any help there. So that's also good to know as well. I think that's all I had. So we'll move on to our next item, which is ordinances and resolutions. We have no ordinances and resolutions before us tonight, of which I'm aware. Unfinished businesses after that, and there is no unfinished business of which I am aware. We have one item under new business. For that, we will turn to our city administrator.
Thank you, sir. City's annual cybersecurity insurance through Alliant Insurance Services Inc. expires on June 30th, 2022. The cost of renewal is $157,000, which was included in the fiscal year 23 budget. The Carroll County government also uses Alliant for cybersecurity insurance, and their cost is similar. The following Maryland agencies have experienced cyber attacks in the last year. The Maryland Health Department in December 2021 took almost 6 weeks to restore the data to 95% of pre-breach levels. Prince George's County government, December 2021, this ransomware attack impacted their timekeeping function. Worcester County government in April 2022, which included a breach in the county government email account that contained limited personal information belonging to about 3,000 government and Board of Education employee and retiree accounts. The annual cost of data breach report featured research by the Ponemon Institute indicated that data breach costs rose from 3.86 million to 4.24 million, the highest average total cost in the 17-year history of this report. According to the SOFA State of Ransomware 2020 report, the average ransomware remediation cost in the United States is $622,596.18. The city's technology department, our IT department, continues to work thoughtfully and collaboratively with all city departments to ensure that the city procedures, practices, and technology protects our data and infrastructure. And therefore, staff recommends that the mayor and common council renew the cybersecurity insurance with Alliant Insurance Services, Inc.
All right, thank you, Ms. Imholtz. Let's get this properly before the council. May I have a motion to approve the renewal?
Motion to approve.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
And then a second by Ms. Gilbert. Motion by Mr. Dale and a second by Ms. Gilbert. Any discussion on this or questions from Ms. Imholtz?
Mr. President.
Ms. Gilbert.
I guess I have more of a comment maybe than a question. I know this came up and we're really close to that June 30th date. As far as preparing for next year, is there a way that we can determine whether or not this cost is an average cost, or whether there's other companies out there that would be a little less, or what we could do maybe to prepare ourselves more instead of dishing, making sure that we're doing everything we should instead of just tossing the money out for insurance purposes.
It's my commitment for fiscal year 24, which is this time next year, but a little earlier, as we're preparing that budget, to have done this research to make sure that the money that's in there is what we're looking for. But I'm told by staff that they have done that, and that this is what the staff recommends. I personally haven't had a chance to look through to be involved in those discussions yet. But we will make sure that we've done a thorough analysis in advance. And I don't want to indicate that we haven't done a thorough analysis. We have. It just hasn't come in front of council. And I'd like to give council an opportunity to see that in advance.
Thank you.
So I usually hang back, but let me just say, because I was very concerned about this last year as well. And, I think that, I want to note that Ms. Imholz was not with us last year.
Right.
When we had this conversation, and did not have the benefit of hearing about this. And it's one of those things where somebody should have put her on a ticker and to remind us that this was coming up. And, our IT director is gone and Ms. Imholz is new. So we had the finance director, who would have also been doing this. So unfortunately, that confluence of events led us to, once again, being a little bit surprised by the imminence of this and the fact that we need to make a decision quickly. I think that one of the things that we asked last year, and there were differing opinions on it, and it was about whether or not we could spend this money more profitably to the city by trying to be better prepared to handle cyber attacks. Mr. Davidson said he could do a lot. He could not guarantee at that time that, we would be protected against everything, but he felt that we could do a lot. So we made the call last year to go ahead and do it with the hope that we would plan and look into it this year. And, obviously that wasn't something that we were able to make happen, through for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Last year when we talked about this, I think we asked if Legit carried this. And I think the answer last year was that they did not. And I don't know if that has changed or not, but since we do so much else with Legit, I'm wondering if we could look into that as well and see if, because they do such a good job in managing our insurance interests in other areas. If going forward, if we could look into that to the extent that we do find that we need this. Also, I think that, it might be worth consulting with somebody to, find out what well-prepared municipalities are doing to alleviate the need for this, if that's possible to do. And I know Ms. also just indicated she's going to undertake that effort, but certainly I think it's something that, we all want to see happen, regardless of the outcome of this discussion. So, I regret that we have to make a quick decision again. I think it's the prudent decision to make to go ahead and take the insurance. And, I think that, we should have a little more conversation here this evening to make sure it's something that, majority of the council is comfortable with. But, I just want to say my view is that I think that that's probably, reluctantly, that's probably what makes the most sense. So, anybody else wish to be heard? Mayor?
Mr. President, the $157,000, the cost of the renewal, is that what was budgeted?
Yes.
Exactly. So, okay.
Yeah. Mr. President,
Mr. Dehoff.
we had an excellent presentation last year, and we don't want to discuss publicly a lot of the things that we've done, but we've done a lot. I think I would appreciate if we would have another closed executive meeting and review what has been accomplished since that meeting. I was just looking for the meeting. When was that meeting?
It was after the.
It was after we had
After we had to make this decision.
it was after we had to make the decision. Yeah. But I would appreciate if we were to be able to have the opportunity to review what it is that we've accomplished and what we need to accomplish in the future. And that would need to be in an executive session. I'm pretty unhappy about this, but I don't know what else to do.
Right, anyone else? I'm sorry, will you finish, Mr. Dow?
No,
All right, thanks. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Mr. President,
Mr. Kavachie?
so I'm sure you all remember I was the lone dissenting vote last year on spending the money for this insurance. And I will be again this year, I'm sure. At the end of the day, I see that number $608,000 or $610,000 is the average cost for a data breach. And we'll now be at $300,000 spent on insurance. So we're half the cost right there. if we didn't take the insurance. And I just guess the biggest problem for me is the insurance doesn't prevent anything that you talk about in terms of those breaches from happening. Insurance doesn't prevent any of that. All the insurance does is potentially compensate us for the work that it takes to recover from that incident. And I don't know that it does anything in terms of making that recovery faster or quicker or any of those things. I think it just compensates us for the financial loss that clearly is significant to the tune of $600,000 on average. And it could be more than that for us. It could be $800,000 or $900,000 for us to recover from a data breach. But for me, at $157,000, it only takes a relatively small number of years to eat that money right back up. And I'm personally of the mind that we take that risk and take that money and put it into more robust cybersecurity, better equipment, better training, better, if it even requires more staff, I'd prefer to do that. So once again, I plan to vote against it, Mr. President. So I feel like I have to explain why I'm going to do that. And we don't agree on everything, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. President,
Mr. Durham.
I had strongly considered voting against it, but I don't know what the alternative is. I'm going to close my eyes and hold my nose and probably vote for it, but I had strongly considered, because I think this is nuts. $300,000. That was exactly what I came up with, $300,000, and that buys a lot of security, extra personnel, extra measures. I don't know what to do.
Well,
And again, we're in a position where I did send a memo out on December the 9th that we ought to take a look at this. This is nuts. This is a lot of money. And I'm just not sure what return we're getting off of it. We have an excellent IT department. It's not like we don't have folks that are working on this.
we do have a good IT department. We don't have an IT director right now.
Well,
To lead the department.
they've,
And, my concern, frankly, as I look at this is, as you said, I'm not sure what the alternative.
I don't know what the alternative is.
The alternative is that something goes wrong and we had the opportunity to be insured and we were not insured. And it is, significantly more costly than $150,000. And, we've got to explain, why we didn't do this.
The fiduciary responsibility that we
I think
have,
that's a
right,
responsibility we
right,
have to-
right.
To take this cause. It's,
right.
I'm just sitting, I've looked into it, I looked into it last year, looked into it this year, and, I think that, the whole point of insurance is, to try and, protect yourself against something that you hope isn't going to happen. And, we all hope this isn't going to happen. We're working to make sure it doesn't happen. Our IT staff works to make sure it isn't going to happen. We've got, they're constantly sending out emails. I get them, I'm sure all of you do, to try and replicate phishing scams. So far, I haven't been caught, but I've been fortunate. I'm sure that not every city employee can say that. I'm sure a few people have clicked on the links, when they shouldn't have. And that's all it takes. It doesn't matter how good a job they do. All it takes is somebody who wasn't paying attention for a minute, wasn't thinking it through for a minute, and they click on the link and somebody's in. And there's not anything that all their work that they've been doing can do to have stopped that. So, I just think that, we're, for right now, until we've learned more, I think that we're better off going ahead and doing this. I respect Mr. Kavachi's concerns. I certainly share them.
I share them.
And I don't discount, the value of, kind of, going in a different direction. it just makes me too nervous, and I'm just not sanguine about it. I just think we need to, from my perspective, I feel that we're better off going ahead and returning the insurance for another year. Let's give Ms. Imholz and a new IT director a chance to take a look at this and report back to us. The technology committee will start meeting regularly and be looking into this with her. And we'll have a chance to satisfy ourselves and our colleagues that, one way or the other, that we've got a thoughtful position going forward, not one that we're making once again at the last minute. So that's how I look at it.
Well, I call the vote.
Anybody else have any
because
comments?
This is so uncomfortable.
Well, it's not uncomfortable. I mean, it's difficult, but look, it's a choice we have to make. And again, as Mr. Cavacci said, we can think this thing through. We can have differing opinions. I don't have a problem with, his concerns. I think his argument makes sense. I just can't go there tonight, and, he's a braver man than I am. That's all I can say. But and at the same time, Mr. Cavacci knows a little something about security. So I respect his opinion on this, but again, that's sharing with you how I felt. If no one else has any comments or thoughts, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of approving the renewal of the policy, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Right, and I don't often do this, but I'll record my vote as a yea vote tonight. All right, thank you. Move on now to departmental reports. Ms. Imholz.
Thank you, sir. I want to remind everyone that July 5th, offices will be closed on Monday, July 5th, in observation of the July 4th holiday. You'll see we've got a few staff that are out of the building. That's a few people that are on vacation right now. So I am going to take the recreation department report. Although I am a poor substitute for Ms. Gruber. They are busy preparing for the month of July events. We do them every day in July. We do a recreation event, believe it or not. So I just want to go through a couple of those exciting events that are going to take place before our next council meeting. On July 1st, there's Patriotic Tie-Dye Day at City Park, where you could either bring your own supplies or you could purchase them there, but you need to pre-register for that event for those that are interested. It's from 1 to 3. Of course, we've got the farmers market on Saturdays. The first 50 kids that attend the downtown Westminster Farmers Market on July 2nd will receive a free activity book and a pack of crayons. There will be a self-guided walking history tour of Westminster on July 3rd, which I'm pretty excited about. And those tour brochures can be picked up at the fitness center. July 4th, of course, is the old-fashioned July 4th celebration, which will be my first in Carroll County. That's at the Farm Museum. On July 5th.
Do we drink old fashions at that? Is that what that means?
That's what I heard. July 6th, we're gonna make beeswax candles with the Carroll County Beekeepers Association. And as the mayor indicated, on July 7th, we're gonna have snowballs at Locust Lane. That culminates on Friday, July 8th with a free outdoor movie night, Trolls World Tour, 8 p.m. City Park. Bring your chairs and blankets.
What day?
I want to thank our staff, and I mean the whole staff, for a very, very fun and entertaining afternoon for beer and barbecue. That includes the police department, the rec department, the public works department, the IT department, the finance department. Takes a whole lot of staff to put on that event. There were a lot of people there. I think it was a really lovely day. The weather was beautiful.
Might have been our biggest event. ever.
Yeah, it might have been our biggest event.
I think it was.
It went well. There weren't a lot of hiccups, which is nice. Now, that event, as I mentioned, took half the staff to put on. So we're always looking for volunteers. If any of you are interested in volunteering for that stroll and every other stroll. So we need help checking IDs, putting wristbands on, doing those sorts of things at the gates. There's a bunch of running errands on the day from this booth to that booth. So if anyone's ever interested in working one of those events, when I say working, I mean volunteering. We're always looking for volunteers. As council member I can't remember who mentioned it. Someone mentioned that we went to the Maryland Municipal League for the conference this summer. I also was able to attend that. I met with most of the secretaries at the state level to talk about funding opportunities for the city for the many, many, many capital improvement projects that we have in our budget, and was able to identify grant sources that I was unaware of prior to that, and funding opportunities that may be created as a result of some of the conversations that I had. So I thought it was a useful way to spend my time, and hopefully will provide additional funds for the city moving forward in the future. Okay, with that, I am going to move on to the HR department. Ms. McCullough, you're off first.
Good evening. The Human Resources Department, we continue to assist all departments across the board for recruiting. Ms. Gilbert had mentioned all of the positions that we have available. Please go to our website to apply. On June 14th was the commencement for Carroll Leadership. I was graduated on that day. So that was very exciting, a 9-month program that went very fast. That time learned a lot. That completes my report.
I am signed up to start the Carroll Leadership Program in the fall, now that Ms. McCullough is finished, as well as one of our police officers. Hopefully that's a new way for me to learn even more about Carroll County. We are going to move on to our Public Works Department. Mr. Glass will have his final council meeting with the city in his official capacity at the next meeting. So we have one more meeting to meet with Mr. Glass. Can you give us an update from the Public Works Department?
It's Pentrol.
That was the first thing I was going to mention, so I stole my thunder there. We have a number of projects that are in process, either in engineering or request for bids or under construction, et cetera, which is really a good thing. This is the start of that robust budget that Ms. Imhoff's put together. I think we talked about that a few meetings ago. So now the work begins. But again, quite a number of projects that are in process. Dr. Gavacci talked about Bond Street. We were able to take that rough road ahead sign down. Not if anybody's driven that recently, but of course, that was the road that was destroyed because of the water main break, but probably not to tell you what to do, Tom, but it's going to be people driving fast on that road. You know, it's the first thing that happens when they got a smooth road. So
We've already got complaints.
there you go.
We've already got complaints.
Then on 6:30, we'll have do our final presentation with the USBR, the Bureau of Reclamation, about our water reuse project. So shortly after that, matter of fact, the next day on 7/1 will be providing that presentation goes, as I'm sure it will, we'll be taking down our share of the money then from the grant as well. So that kind of concludes at least that portion of the water reuse project with the United States Bureau of Reclamation. And then the last thing's already been said, but this is my second to last council meeting. Not that I'm counting, but to talk again one last time. That's all I have.
Mr. Glass, can you give a quick update on the Main Street water replacement project?
So we have, I think there are 90% drawings that are in now. And we're waiting on an engineer's estimate, but I think it's going to go much faster, or the engineer has envisioned it going much faster than I thought it would. But we'll get that engineer's estimate very soon. We'll still be waiting on the permit to bore and jack under the railroad. They really have a lot of power in as far as what happens.
They really do.
In their, jurisdiction. So we'll have that to go yet, but the limits of the water line replacement is from the forks of the road of Pennsylvania Avenue to Longwell. That's the only stretch that has not yet been completed. If anybody's lived here for any length of time will remember the mayhem that took place on the north end of I guess that would be the west and north end of town when we did Pennsylvania Avenue as well. And then the east end as well, when State Highway was doing their work there before we took that part of the street over. The part in front of the library is basically just that's ours. We've never renewed the water line in that area yet. So that's the last stretch for that, the whole entire water line to be 12-inch then. And that will finish that project.
Sure you don't want to see that out, Mr. Class?
I do, but from a distance.
1,000 miles from Florida.
From Florida.
Thank you, sir. We will move on to the planning department. Mr. Depot?
Thank you. So for the 32nd year, the city of Westminster has been recognized as a Tree City USA. The city has again been recognized as a Maryland plant that's people loving and nurturing trees community. And Main Street America and Main Street Maryland has again certified that the city of Westminster has been recognized as a 2022 accredited program. On June 1st, the Historic District Commission approved a tax credit request for home improvements and an addition at 72 West Green Street. On June 9th, the Planning and Zoning Commission approved a 20% upward adjustment to the allowed Stonegate residential development building permits. We only allow 40 a year, the 20% now allows 48. And that is for the calendar year of 2022. So they are going strong, as you can imagine. They forwarded an annexation number 73 for 404 Malcolm Drive and annexation number 74 for 207 and 209 Greenwood Avenue to the Mayor and Common Council with a favorable recommendation. And they also forwarded a recommendation to approve ordinance number 942, allowing microbreweries and pub breweries in the PI planned industrial zone to the Mayor and Common Council. On June 21st, the Board of Zoning Appeals approved the variance request to yard setback requirements at 99 North Ralph Street to allow for a detached garage to be built. And as always, as has been mentioned, the farmers market is open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to noon at the Conway Lot along Railroad Avenue. Just numbers about the farmers market, the numbers continue to be good and we continue to get positive feedback from vendors and guests. And finally, I would just like to welcome Smoothie King. They're located in Westminster Shopping Center at Angler Road and Route 140 to the city. They are now open and operating. That completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Depot. We will round out our departmental reports with the police department. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This Friday, July 1, a good portion of the police reform legislation kicks in. So I just finished a pretty lengthy policy and procedure update. I'm waiting on the Maryland Police and Corrections Training Commission to come out with their statewide police discipline matrix, which they published this morning. So I was able to use that verbiage to finish where we need to be and put it in our software system. So we'll have that up and running July 1. Also starts the process of working through the Police Accountability Board at the county level and the Administrative Charging Committee, which also goes into effect July 1. Along those lines, we have acquired the IA Pro software system, and that'll allow us to fulfill our obligation to have the public portal. We underwent our initial training and configuration for that system. It is impressive, and I think it'll help us to consolidate a number of our administrative tasks, not only with that, but with use of force, vehicle pursuits, things like that. And it'll also allow us to produce a lot of reports that we may be required to produce with data. We conducted a final interview and offered the new grant funded case manager for our opioid quick response team to a young lady named Brooke Sisson, who lives here in town. She brings with her a wealth of experience from Montgomery County drug court system. So she is scheduled to start here in a few weeks. We also got our webinar demonstration on the Case Cracker interview room system, which will replace our current recording system in our Criminal Investigations Bureau. that the old system is outdated. And the new system will provide us with a number of investigative abilities and also a smoother transition in providing evidence discovery and snippets from interviews to the state's attorney's office. So we're looking forward to that. And finally, we had two additional reports since we last met of the water pellets, which came out of a social media challenge supposed to involve participating high school students, but some people have taken this social media challenge to shoot the water pellets at unsuspecting pedestrians. So we've posted on our social media reminder for parental discussion. And of course, we're out looking for individuals that can be doing that. That's all I have.
Mr. also, Mr. President, you mind if I?
Please go ahead.
So as you, I think all, I've said this a million times, I eschew social media and absolutely have nothing to do with it. So I don't know what that means. What are water pellets?
So there's a social media challenge, and I don't know the specific challenge. I think it was out on either TikTok or one of the ones that I don't subscribe to, but initially it had, the challenge was it's almost like a BB propulsion gun, but it's a water pellet versus a solid metal pellet. And
It's like an airsoft gun?
yes,
Okay.
and so they were challenging almost like a mock war between high school groups.
Mhm.
And the challenge came out towards the end of the last quarter. And we had some parents that were talking about their kids were doing it. It was just a fun challenge. Some of the kids have taken it upon themselves to just drive around mostly in the late evening hours and shoot the pellets out of their car at pedestrians. So that is an assault. So we're reminding the parents on social media that they need to have a discussion with their kids, because these are almost exclusively teenagers doing this, to prevent that from happening. But we also are looking to identify anybody who's doing it.
Did they cause injuries?
Not a welt like you would see from a BB shot.
Not like a paintball gun.
Yeah, it's less of an impact, but
Okay,
it's still.
thanks.
Sure.
That concludes the departmental reports.
All right, thank you, Ms. Zimholz. It's time for citizen comments. Before we do that, we frequently have a representative from McDaniel College to share some news from the Hill, as well as report back to the college leadership on what's happening in the city. Do we have anybody here tonight from the college? We do. They're probably taking a little break from the summer.
For the summer, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see someone again soon. So we'll move on now to citizen comments, when we invite the public to address the mayor and council on any issues that pertain to tonight's agenda or any other subject. For citizens not attending the public meeting, we invite you to send us your comments or concerns via email at comments@westminstermd, that's all one word together, westminstermd.gov. All comments received by email will be shared with the mayor and council. Commenters who email should include their address and phone number with their comments. We'll now invite comments from anyone who is present this evening. And let me remind everyone, this is an opportunity for the public to share their thoughts and concerns and not exchange in or debate or answer questions. If people have questions, we'll have to get back to you with those answers after the meeting. So with that, is there anybody with us tonight who wishes to be heard? Okay, hearing no one, then that concludes our agenda. Oh, sir.
I'd like to ask a question. Does the council have anything to do with senior condos? Senior condos.
Senior condos.
We've approved them.
Directly? No, sir. We do not, but we have a housing department, and we'd be glad to have someone from a housing.
Nobody seems to have anything to do with it. Up in the housing department, the district courts, county, everybody. Nobody knows anything about it. But they did raise their taxes and they raised their fees for the sprinkler system. They doubled that a few years ago. But we didn't get no tax breaks for anything for the senior condos. Plus, we don't get any trash pickup, street lighting, or push snowing like individual homes does.
Mhm.
And I was wondering if there was some way to get some kind of a tax. Thing for
Well,
it.
so if you like, what we could do is you'll give your contact information to our city clerk, Mr. Barber, or to Ms. Imhoff. We'll have our director of housing or someone get back in touch with you to see if what there is that we can find out for you about that.
We have.
Stick
name-
around after the meeting.
Sorry?
We have name and
I'm
address.
sorry.
Yeah, we do not.
Yeah.
Sir,
Stick around after the
Yeah,
meeting and
so-
we'll talk to you.
Okay,
right. And could we get your name and address for the record, please?
yes, Gordon Coyle,
Okay, and your address, please?
32 Bella Vita Court, Unit
Okay.
2D, Bella Vita condos.
All right, thank you. All right. Stick around, we'll get your contact information and
Okay.
we'll follow. Okay, anyone else? With that, that concludes our agenda and the meeting, and we're adjourned. Thank you.
Okay. Hey.
Those are the ones. I missed the tour.
Yeah.